I've been watching the VIX and the SPX together for years. And this was one of the situations where I was starting to see a big divergence going on. Basically, you can see end of September into October, the VIX was starting to build and lead up, even though the SPX kept going higher and higher and higher each day. And we could see the same kind of divergence with the UVIX. Have you ever seen this kind of divergence before where the VIX was moving up while the SPX was going up more than just a day or two? This was persisting for, I think, about 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it's always an interesting thing because as we know, the vast majority of the time, if we see the VIX going up, stocks are going down. And that's typically more of a reaction where it's like, okay, the SPX is going down, traders are panicking, they're buying protection at the market, and as they're doing that, and as they're taking out the asks on puts, that increases the price of the puts, and basically, the VIX is going up. And what happens in that situation is where you have the stock market going up, but then the VIX is going up at the same time. You actually are in a situation where people are kind of panic buying protection. And although most of the time that happens when the market's going down, sometimes rarely it can happen in that situation. So it's interesting because it just shows you that there's a large segment of the market that's suddenly very nervous. And even though the market's going up, they're willing to shell out extra money for protection. And that's, it kind of, and what'll happen a lot of times is the market makers will kind of, wow, look at all these orders coming in for puts. And that kind of jacks the price up of the puts, VIX going higher and all that. So it's a weird situation, but it does happen, rarely, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on.